the sun, as silly as fun, as cool as a tree, as scary as the sea, as hot as fire, cold as ice, sweet as sugar and everything nice, as old as time, as straight as a line, as royal as a queen, as buzzed as a bee, as stealth as a tiger, smooth as a glider, pure as a melody, pure as I wanna be.
The development of what was to become Windows 8 started in 2009 and before the release of its predecessor, Windows 7. With Windows 8, Microsoft had an ambitious plan to update and expand the capabilities of the Windows operating system. Just like Windows 1 had been designed to take advantage of a relatively new piece of hardware known as a mouse, Windows 8 would be designed to take advantage of touchscreen devices that were becoming increasingly popular in the computing industry at this time. Support for touchscreen devices was by no means an entirely new concept in Windows, with many previous versions of the operating system able to accept touch input, provided that the appropriate hardware and drivers were installed. Some versions of Windows were even targeted specifically at touchscreen devices, such as 2002's Windows XP Tablet PC Edition. However, whilst previous versions of Windows could accept touch input, it could reasonably be regarded as an afterthought, with keyboard and mouse input by far the dominant way that users interacted with the systems. With Windows 8, Microsoft's plan was to at least anticipate and at best influence a change in the way users chose to interact with their devices. With touchscreen mobile devices in particular becoming extremely popular at this time, Microsoft hedged their bets on touch input being the next user input revolution, in a similar way to what they had already seen decades before with the mouse. With this in mind, Windows 8 would be designed to introduce major changes to the Windows operating system in order to improve the user experience on touchscreen devices. In particular, a new touch-optimized shell, colloquially known as the Metro interface, would bring, amongst other things, a start menu replacement known as the start screen. The start screen would be a full-screen interface that could display app icons, in addition to dynamically updated content, in a similar way to Windows Vista and 7's gadgets, on a large grid of so-called tiles, a feature that was originally seen in Microsoft's, at the time, mobile operating system, Windows Phone 7. There would also be a new app framework for developers, with an emphasis on designing and optimizing apps for touch input, and a new Windows Store in order for users to easily find and download said apps. At the Consumer Electronics Show in January 2011, Microsoft's then CEO Steve Ballmer announced the company's goal for Windows to be everywhere on every kind of device without compromise, an ideology that echoed Bill Gates' initial goal for Microsoft as a company, which was a computer on every desk and in every home. Around the time of the Consumer Electronics Show, details began to emerge about Windows 8's new app framework, which would be used to make so-called immersive apps, which did away with much of the so-called user interface Chrome, such as window title bars and borders. The earliest known pre-release version or build of Windows 8 is Build 7700 from January 2010. This build was visually almost identical to Windows 7, but importantly did contain references to the name Windows 8 within itself. Later pre-release builds of Windows 8 would see Microsoft make use of a security feature known as Red Pill to help prevent new features within the builds from being discovered by those outside of the Windows 8 development team, in the case of any of the builds getting leaked. In order to reveal the features hidden by Red Pill within a build, a combination of specific system licensing policies, as well as an external DLL file not ordinarily found within the build, was required. For leaked builds, the enabling of features hidden by Red Pill was achieved through tools released by various third-party developers, the most famous of which is known as Redlock. Build 7850 from September 2010 is the earliest available build of Windows 8 to contain Red Pill. Without Redlock or a similar tool, the build looks almost identical to Windows 7. However, upon running the tool, rudimentary versions of the new start screen, as well as other new touch-optimized features that would eventually release with the final version of Windows 8, such as the so-called Charms bar, can be activated. On the 1st of June 2011, Microsoft unveiled Windows 8's new user interface to the world at the D9 All Things Digital Technology Conference. Of the new interface, Microsoft commented that, although the new user interface is designed and optimized for touch, it works equally well with a mouse and keyboard. Our approach means no compromises. You get to use whatever kind of device you prefer, with peripherals you choose, to run the apps you love. This is sure to inspire a new generation of hardware and software development, improving the experience for PC users around the world. On the 15th of August 2011, Microsoft launched the Building Windows 8 blog, where details were regularly posted about Windows 8's new features and development process. About a month later, on the 13th of September 2011, Microsoft released the first public beta build of Windows 8, Build 8102, known as the Windows 8 Developer Preview, at its annual build conference for developers. Build 8128 from October 2011 showcased one of Windows 8's most drastic and famous user interface changes, with the complete removal of the Windows Start menu, a feature that had existed in Windows for almost 2 decades up to this point. Additionally, with Build 8195 from 4 months later, the Start button was removed from the taskbar. Later that February, Build 8250, otherwise known as the Windows 8 Consumer Preview, was released for public beta testing, giving those outside of the Windows 8 development team their first glimpse at a return to a startless Windows. Reflecting on the decision to remove Start, Windows Principal Program Manager Chaitanya Serene said, "We thought of the desktop as an app. That really was the vision," and went on to explain that the Start button was removed to reflect said vision. The desktop was now just one among many other apps, and was no longer considered the primary interface of the operating system. On the 31st of May 2012, Microsoft released the Windows 8 release preview Build 8400, which brought a selection of small finishing touches to the operating system in preparation for its release. 2 months later, on the 1st of August 2012, Microsoft released the final version of Windows 8, Build 9200, to manufacturing, and to retail a couple of months later. Upon its release, reception to Windows 8 was mixed. Positive feedback included the ability for users to easily see dynamic information via live tiles on the start screen, the updated Windows Explorer File Manager with its new ribbon UI and file history feature, as well as the operating system's overall performance and stability. Negative feedback was primarily aimed at Windows 8's new user interface, with its ease of discovery especially criticised, not helped by the lack of instructions provided within the operating system itself on how users could actually access functions through the user interface. Indeed, while a tutorial was included with the operating system, it only instructed users to move their mouse pointer into corners of the screen, or to swipe in from the sides if using a touchscreen, with no clarification or explanation of what exactly this behaviour would or should achieve. Other user interface complaints focused on the seemingly inefficient use of screen real estate, especially on larger displays and/or for mouse and keyboard users, with many actions in Windows 8 requiring more mouse travel and clicks compared to their Windows 7 equivalents. In response to the criticisms aimed at Windows 8, Microsoft released an update to the operating system on the 27th of August 2013, known as Windows 8.1, with the aim of improving the user experience, especially for mouse and keyboard users. This famously included the reintroduction of the Start button, although the Start menu itself was still missing. Improvements were also made elsewhere in the user interface, such as the reintroduction of window title bars and buttons for mouse and keyboard users. In this series of videos, I aim to explore the development of Windows 8 from its earliest known incarnation in 2009 through to its release to manufacturing in 2012. Please enjoy the videos.